and I am representing Alabama at their mission. I just want to take this time to thank everyone for showing up due to inclement weather conditions and all that. And now I will pass it on to Alexis Stringfellow.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alexis Stringfellow, and I'm a senior accounting student from Chicago, Illinois, and I have the pleasure of serving as president for Alabama Accounting Society, also known as our NAVA student chapter for this academic school year. And I will be introducing a few of our panelists that we have here today. The first one that we have Mr. Herschel Frierson. Herschel Frierson is the strategic networks leader and principal at Crow LLP with over 29 years of experience. He has done governmental consulting and general consulting. In his new role, Herschel is responsible for expanding the firm's influence with network partners, including associations and creating new opportunities and deepening existing relationships. Herschel focuses on key networks for all industries across the firm and in the market. Herschel Frierson is the 27th chairman of the board of directors for NAVA. Herschel in 2020 was named by Accounting Today as one of the top 100 most influential people in accounting. Herschel has been keynote speaker of the AICPA We're About Success program, University of Tennessee AIM Academy, and was a part of the Distinguished Speaker Series at the Neal Corporate Governance Center at the University of Tennessee. Herschel serves as an advisory member for the University of Texas McCombs School of Business Accounting Program, Butler University Lacey School of Business Dean's Advisory Council, and a member of the University of Tennessee Hawthorne College of Business AIM Advisory Roundtable. Herschel has been highlighted in various publications and articles. Just recently, Herschel received the Talent Pipeline Award from the Indiana CPA Society. In 2021, Herschel served as on the business and entrepreneurship pillar for the Indianapolis African American Qualify of Life initiative. In 2018, Herschel received the Frank Ross National Outstanding Member of the Year Award from NAVA. Herschel served on various committees and advisory boards in the community. Herschel is a lifetime member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And I will now be introducing our second panelist. Our second panelist is Miss Melanie Glover. She is the principal for PricewaterhouseCoopers. Melanie is a partner in the Sustainability Services practice at PwC, where she supports clients throughout all phases of their sustainability journey, including understanding the evolving ESG regulatory landscape and its reporting requirements, assessing clients' current state, including readiness for regulatory compliance, designing process and controls to enable investor-grade disclosures, and providing reporting assurance. She began her career supporting clients' external audit and assurance needs for SOX, compliance audits, and third-party assurance with a specific focus on business process, automated and information technology controls. These experiences owned her strong financial and regulatory reporting background that she now leverages towards the increasing non-financial reporting requirements within the area of sustainability. She has over 18 years of experience working with companies across various sectors, including financial services, consumer products, retail, technology, and industrial products. Melanie holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Accounting and Business Administration, as well as Management Information Systems from North Carolina A&T State University, and a Master's of Business Administration from the Stephen M. Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. She is a certified public accountant in North Carolina, Florida, and Washington, D.C., and is a certified information systems auditor. Currently residing in Washington, D.C., Melanie serves as PwC's firm's relationship partner for North Carolina A&T State University and serves on the university's Executive Advisory Council for the Willie A. Deese College of Business and Economics. And I will now be passing it off to Cameron Harris to introduce our third panelist. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron Harris. I'm a freshman accounting student from Baltimore, Maryland. In this semester, I serve as one of the AlloBeam interns, and I also have the pleasure of introducing our third speaker this afternoon, Ms. Christina Howard. Ms. Howard currently serves as a managing partner at Forbes Mazars, a leading global professional services network ranked among the largest public accounting firms in the United States. With extensive client service experience, she leads teams to provide audit and consulting services to global clients, particularly in the financial services industry. Ms. Howard also leads Talent Shift LLC, a Forbes Mazars subsidiary that connects gig professionals with consulting, tax, and audit projects across the globe. Prior to this, she was a product controller at Wells Fargo, overseeing operations for a multi-billion-dollar, non-publicly traded subsidiary. She holds a Master's of Accountancy from the University of Virginia and a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and a Bachelor of Arts in Spanish from North Carolina A&T State University. Ms. Howard maintains an active CPA license in North Carolina and is a certified fraud examiner. She is a member of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, National Association of Black Accountants, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, North Carolina Association of Certified Public Accountants, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Passionate about mentoring and community service, she serves on the Foundation Board of Directors for the NCA CPA and the Executive Council of the Willie A. Deese College of Business and Economics at her alma mater, North Carolina A&T State University.
Well, thank you all for those wonderful introductions. Panelists, we are honored and thrilled to have you all with us. And we're going to get started here and ask you all just a couple of questions to get us started around your career and your background. And so, Christina, I see you first in the field. Share with us a little bit about your career journey, and if you could look back over your career, what were some key decisions or experiences that you believe were really pivotal in shaping the success that you have today?
Great question, Jason. But first, let me say thank you to Alexis and Cameron and all of the students here with us today and faculty. It is an honor, certainly, to join you this afternoon in what we thought was going to be really inclement weather. We really did here in North Carolina. We really did. I am not too far away there. I am based here in Charlotte, North Carolina today. So we too thought that the weather was going to be really, really rough, but now it's sunny and I see no signs of the snow. But if I have to think back, when I sat in Merrick Hall and thinking about where I am today, goodness, would have had no idea that this native of Charlotte, North Carolina would have an opportunity to truly travel the globe, to be able to help open an office in London, to have clients that required me to travel to San Juan, Puerto Rico for months on end during the wintertime, right? The opportunity to work with some amazing organizations. And while, yes, today I spend a lot of time focused on regulated companies and financial services, but I've had the opportunity to serve clients in healthcare, manufacturing, retail. I will tell you so many highlights. And so some of those key decisions, Jason, as you ask, along that way that I have to think that were very pivotal in my journey. I'd say starting early, certainly my professors on campus certainly encouraged me to get my certification early. And I somewhat listened. I started, right? I went and got my master's right after graduation from A&T. When you're reminded to start early, because those are the building blocks, the foundations, in which not having those certifications would have prevented me from promotions later, would have prevented me from even being in the conversation about serving and being qualified for different roles and opportunities. So I would say getting a certification early, memberships, it's wonderful to come full circle moment, certainly, as a member of AlaBeam as a student. to see the importance of how the student chapter connects even professionally. And I'm sure Herschel will hit on this, but NABA is one of many organizations that certainly, when we talk about networking, it started early. And some of the friendships and bonds and relationships that I started in college are still alive and well today. So those are some decisions and that along my way, I think early on in my career that I probably didn't realize were so impactful. But now as I look back and think about those early decisions, how important they were to allow me to continue to progress in my career journey today.
Great. That's incredible, and thank you for sharing part of your journey. And I love you tying in those sort of things that you heard while you were in undergrad, and you say, and then it became more full circle for you. So thank you for sharing that, Melanie. We would love to hear from you as well. Same question. What was your journey like, and what were some of those pivotal things that you would define as shaping where you are right now?
Sure. Thank you, Jason. Similar to some of the things that Christina said, starting back at when I was an undergrad, one of the main decisions that I made was to actually dual major while I was there. So ended up doing accounting and management information systems. And a lot of that was listening to, and I know we're some thoughts that we'll talk about a bit later will be like mentorship and the importance of that. But quite frankly, it was listening to my mentors, right? It was listening to my parents. It was listening to, at the time, Dean Craig, who could look out ahead much further than I could see. And they were saying like, hey, this is what's coming down. And we think it'd be really good if you could double major in both accounting and management information systems to really kind of open up your career opportunities. So at the time I was like, all right, that's fine. But didn't really see that as something that would truly help chart my path later on. But once I did that, it opened up another opportunity when I started interviewing with the firm. So instead of just the options of either kind of going straight into audit or going straight into tax, there was a new group that had been formed at a lot of the different firms that merged kind of accounting knowledge with IT and technical controls knowledge. And I had the opportunity to interview for that position. And it was all because of the decision to double major and have that dual undergrad degree. And then once at the firm, I think some of the decisions that I've made have all been around how do I differentiate myself? We talk a lot about it at the firm, right? When we do our evaluations, our year-end evaluations, it's always about how did this person differentiate themselves from their peers? And so that always was something that stuck out in my head as I have been going through my career, trying to find things that I was interested in, B, there was growth in, and then C, also would be something that would differentiate me from my peers. And so some of those items that ended up being that differentiation was getting into working on new regulations that there would be times during my career where I was asked like, hey, would you like to help support the firm? It's a brand new regulation. It just came out. We need people who are willing to help support our clients on it. And when offered, I took the offer, and it was, each time that has happened has been something that truly has kind of springboarded my career. It helped me get early promoted to senior by doing that. And then once at the senior role, was able to start to take on more roles to get promoted early to manager. Also, it was there was a move that was involved where, again, the firm kind of came to me and asked if I would be open to taking on a very challenging client that most people did not want to take on. And for me, it was like I was looking for a challenge and looking for something new to do, as well as I thought that it would be a differentiating factor. So I did it, and by doing so, that really springboarded me into the partnership. And then most recently, one of the new challenges I took on was moving from the audit practice into our sustainability practice. And again, it was definitely not on my bingo card. It was one of those where people came to me and said, hey, we're looking to expand this group. We really see growth opportunities on the horizon. Would you have an interest in really learning a whole new area, but leveraging your existing knowledge to really kind of build upon sustainability, or also called ESG? And I said, why not? Like, I'll give it a try. And 5 years later, I'm full time in that practice and could not be happier that I made that change. So really, I would say listening to mentors, listening to the opportunities that have come my way, looking for how I can differentiate myself, and also kind of continue just growth and evolution.
And I'm really glad you mentioned that part about like accepting challenge, really leaning into that. I think that is pivotal, especially when we think about our career trajectory. So thank you for sharing that, and your story to where you are right now. That is inspiring to hear. And Herschel, we would love to hear from you as well. Tell us about your career journey and some things that you found pivotal in helping to shape where you are right now.
No, first and foremost, greetings from Indiana. That's where I'm at right now. It's a blessing to be here. I'm probably a little bit more unique than probably the other two panelists in a sense that I went to a PWI. So I went to Butler University. I was one of two African American majors in accounting, and so I didn't see a lot of people that look like us. But I made a commitment to stick with it. Right. I think when you're in college, sometimes you get to a point where you don't see a lot of people that look like you. You tend to want to gravitate to where you see a lot more people that look like you, and be comfortable, as we call it, be comfortable in your tribe, right? I did not do that. I made a commitment because when I was in high school, for whatever reason, accounting stood out to me, and it was one of those opportunities for me, because there was not a lot of people that look like us that has a P behind their name, that partner principal behind their name, and I wanted to be one of those people, right? I wanted to be one of those people, the P behind my name, so other people that look like us can go into the field of accounting, that I fell in love with. So that was key. The other thing that was key was um, my commitment to know what I don't know, right? I was not the smartest person on campus. And I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I got all straight A's, because I didn't. I struggled in many of my accounting classes, but I worked with my professors, and my professors challenged me every day. And they said, hey, if you come here every other day and sit with me, we're going to get you through these classes. And I made a commitment to do that. And I think that's important for each of you, is that the relationships you build on campus, the relationships, more importantly, that you build with your professors, is extremely important. And so that was, I think, the first thing, the commitment to be excellent, the commitment to work with my professors, and the commitment to stick with it, even though I didn't see a lot of people that look like me. And I think the second piece for me is, I'm a little bit of a unicorn in the sense that I've been with Crow, my firm, ever since I graduated from Butler. So it's been my whole career. I share, and I'm more comfortable sharing. The other thing that I realized when I started at Crow in the Indianapolis office, and I'm sure the two panelists can feel where I'm going with this, is I was the only Black client-facing individual in my office. And I probably had mental health without knowing I had mental health, because I put so much pressure on myself to overperform, because I thought, if I screw up, they're not going to hire another Black person. And, was it true? No, right? But that was, as a 22-year-old, staff accountant, that is what I thought, right? And one of the biggest things that, the other thing that I did that was a mistake that I'll share with you, I code switched a lot. And, so what I mean by code switch a lot, some of you may or may not have heard of it. I'm a big rap fan. I know it's called hip hop now, but I call it rap because that's what it was back in my day. But I would always play rap music going into the office. And for me, that got me going for what I was going to deal with for the whole day. But what I would do once I got to the parking lot or the parking garage, I would turn it to gospel music because I didn't want people that I work with know that, he's playing Tupac, he's playing Biggie, he's playing LL Cool J before he became an actor. Um, I played all that music, but I would code switch when I got right to the office. I would code switch, um, when I talk about what I did on the weekends or where I went to go shop. I used to go shop at the Black Mall in Indianapolis, right? And they would be like, "Oh my God," I used to hide all of that, and it got to a point where it wore on me personally. Um, and I didn't have a white picket fence. I didn't go play soccer. I didn't play golf. I didn't do any of that. It got to a point where I just said, screw it. I got to be who I am. And there was so much of a weight that lifted off of me. And I'm going to share one other thing that was, two other things that was real pivotal, real quick. So I want to get to other questions. One is I joined NABA. Within the first month I started at Crow. It helped. It really survived me. I mean, it saved my life. When I say saved my life from a career standpoint, because I met people that looked like me that was going through the same things in the city of Indianapolis. So I went to my first meeting and said, "Oh my God, you got 2 at PwC, you got 3 at KPMG. Oh my God, what is it like to help 2 other people?" So my commitment to NAB was because it saved my life, my career. And the last thing that I did that was very pivotal, and I want to encourage everyone on this call to do this. I got a board of directors, or we call them mentors. And one of the key mentor that I had was an older white man. He was not very politically correct, but he shot it to me straight at working at the firm. And he would often pull me aside, be like, "What the hell are you doing?" Right? And he told me, "These are the people you need to impress. These are the people you need to watch out for. And this is when you need to watch your back." And if you look at this older white man, you would think like he was your mentor. Yes, he was. And I learned a lot about how to watch out for people and how to watch my back and what to do and what not to do. So one thing I would recommend is when you build your board of directors, get at least one person that don't look like you around as a board of directors, because you really need to see how the other side thinks and views. So, Jason?
No, that you all have been already dropping some valuable nuggets. And the one thing, Herschel, that I'm conscious of is this praise and power, this pulling up, praying some praise music and then switching it to the or reverse, this power and praise rather with, rap and gospel. But students might laugh at it, but I mean, it's the reality of how do you navigate a space that is not very that when we look at sort of that identity aspect, you're not the majority there. You still have to bring part of yourself with you to where you are, and that builds this level of resilience, and growth, if you will. And so, in thinking about what you all just shared, Melanie, I want to start with you this time about, because you sort of, talked about it when you talked about those challenges and how you moved into them. What are some, if you could give us, an example of a challenge that you've had to deal with and how it helped to grow your growth mindset in terms of how do you deal with it and continue to progress in achieving your professional goals?
No, great question. Uh, I think For me, a lot of it, my resilience comes from looking backwards and kind of looking at the things that I have accomplished. There's this one engagement where when I told you I moved for a position and that it helped to kind of springboard my career into the partnership. That position was one of the hardest I've ever taken, and it was a period of about 3 years of working on a client engagement that was we were working around the clock, and not just quote unquote during busy season. This was pretty much all year round. It was, I was living in Miami. The client was out on the western side of Florida. And it was to the point that I ended up renting an apartment out close to the client to save on the time of having to go back and forth between Miami and the western part of Florida. And because we would be there for the weekend, we would be there long hours during the week. But what that experience taught me, it taught me a lot of things, but ultimately coming through that experience, now when I get into other challenging or difficult situations, I kind of look back and say, I've been through worse. And I've survived it and I've learned from it. And so that gives me strength and gives me the knowledge that whatever's facing me, I've seen worse. I can find my way through this. And some of the things that I learned through that experience over those 3 years was, finding ways to not take things as personally. I think we all take a lot of pride. Many of us are probably type A personalities. You take a lot of pride in the work that you do. And there were definitely times when I had either people I was working with or the client that would just sit there and scream at me or scream at someone that was on the team. And you had to find a way to manage through that and recognize that's that was their stress response. And how do I maneuver through these challenging ordeals without allowing it to break me or without allowing it to knock me off the path that I wanted to be on. And so I think resilience comes in many different ways and shows up for people differently. But for me, it showed up from recognizing the strength from the steps that I've taken in the past and not taking things personally and being able to differentiate between what is something that I need to take and action, and what are some things that that's someone kind of blowing off steam and I just need to let it go and move forward and not allow that to distract or cause me to get off course.
And I think it's key that we recognize what those distractions are. And so, Christina, I would love to hear from you as well. So, like what we're talking about resilience, like what are some of the things, like if you could tell us like about one challenge that you've experienced that has helped your growth mindset and helped you to become even more resilient in the work that you're doing?
So it's about finding out what moves you. And it can change throughout your career, right? So Herschel, I'm right with you. I love music, right? I love R&B. I love rap. I love hip hop. I love all of that. And I laugh because absolutely early on in my career, where I was the only minority member of my team, when it went to lunch, if someone said, hey, let's have soul food, Christina, where should we go? Where should we go? So I'm the only one that knows where to find soul food. So you make jokes out of it. So I used to, make humor out of the questions that I used to receive that certainly had nothing to do about the technical matter at hand, what we were dealing with at our client, but more had something to do about my outward appearance, in which they had assumptions about my interest. And so I would say that, it's no different from any team that you're on today, right? On every team you're in, that teaming, that sense of collaboration, It ebbs and flows, right? On each team, there are different dynamics that you have to maneuver through as you try to meet those deadlines. There are different ways in which you have to engage with each team member. That doesn't change as you become a professional. But the reality of the profession, particularly of the one that we are in, accounting, very few minorities, very few that aspire and obtain the partner level. I was the very first minority partner of my firm in 2015. Minority partner, period. So the questions, the responsibility that was felt, certainly, in reaching the partnership, but knowing that I'm the only one, there were a lot of questions about what I was entering into. But you continue to push ahead with all the lessons that you guys are learning now, even in the collegiate level. It continues on. But as long as you've had that focus on quality, right? Education, work ethic, you're laying the foundation so that whatever comes at you, you'll be able to address. And having that network, right? So friends, family, because at the end of the day, when work is done, who is there? Right. So you talk about your tribe. Absolutely. I have a professional board of directors that I go to for questions, but I also have in my own personal and social life, my tribe there as well that keeps me grounded. And I do things like exercise, right? I love Orange Theory. I don't know if we have anybody else out there that enjoys a good fitness class, but that's how I spend a lot of my mornings, right? Just that gets me into it. So those are some things, Jason, that I do that allow me to keep the focus because we are going to have challenges. Absolutely. We're also going to have great times too. So I don't want it to seem as doom and, it's horrible working in public accounting. It's not. There are so many awesome days where you are so excited about what you and your team have accomplished. You're thankful for what you have been able to give back to the community. So there are a lot of rewards as well in this profession.
Well, and again, kudos to you. We certainly celebrate you for your accomplishment. I mean, as we sit here at the in Black History Month, it is awesome to see an A&T graduate, a person of color, female that was able to get to the level that you did when you did. So congratulations to you for that accomplishment.
Thank
and one of the things, Herschel, that I want to tie into that from what Christina was talking about, and you alluded to this when you talked about your mentor. When we talk about resilience and mentorship, I think there is a level of coupling that we can talk to, and I'm curious, particularly how you talked about how your mentor didn't look like you. Could you share some more about what that relationship? One, how did you cultivate that relationship, and then two, how did it really continue to help you grow professionally?
Yeah, I mean, I realized early that I won't survive a crow if I didn't figure out the secret sauce. Right? I didn't know what I didn't know. Right? And I always watched this particular individual. No one messed with him for whatever reason. Right? And he once again he wasn't the most politically correct individual. And I asked him to lunch one day, and I said, "Look, I'm struggling at the firm, and I'm just trying to figure out, I'm trying to navigate the waters." And he just like, "All right, Herschel, hell, let me just tell you what you got to do." Right. And I think at some point he enjoyed our relationship more than I did afterwards, right? After the fact. And I just always checked in on him, even when he retired. I just always checked in, like, "Hey, how you doing? Let me take you to lunch. Let me do this." And I recognize that you gotta have different perspectives, whether you agree with it or you just or you don't agree with it, right? So, for me, it is I love to get different perspective. I have to recognize that my way of thinking is not always the right way of thinking, right? And when you get a diverse thought leadership of mentors, board of directors, you may not like what you hear, but it's what you need to hear. Um, and that helped, shockingly, it helped me, when I somehow was elected to become the chair of NABA. I didn't know how much that was going to benefit me and what I went through when I first became chair. And the one thing I would share was, I am a changed individual because of NABA, but more importantly, when I became chair when the pandemic happened. And, I've gotten more comfortable to tell my story was that I did not sleep at night a lot because of the pandemic. And I was afraid that I was going to be the one person that was going to end NABA because so many not-for-profits, as Christina and you know, so many not-for-profits ended during the pandemic. And I was like, is Herschel going to be the one? And I was on the island by myself to end this organization. So there was a lot of stress. And then George Floyd happened and Ahmaud Arbery happened right at the same time. And here I am, what I thought a chair of a Black organization was supposed to be changed dramatically with that. And I had to change. And the phone calls that I got from young Black professionals who said, I'm at KPMG, I'm at ENY, you name it, I'm trying to pass the CPA exam, I'm stuck at home, and I saw a Black man get killed on TV, and I got to show up on Zoom and see a white person. Herschel, what am I supposed to do? So I think you really have to lean on your mentors to help you through tough situations.
And so that really leads to sort of the next sort of question, and then we're gonna turn it over to Aaliyah and Alex to help open the floor for some student questions. But Christina or Melanie, I really want to get your thoughts as we talked about, as Herschel sort of alluded to that, like, what's it like operating in a space where that you are very much in the minority, and how do you still present yourself? What does that look like for the two of you all? And then we're going to shift it over to Aaliyah and Alex for some student questions.
Can I go back to something that Herschel actually said that I just wanted to double down on? So, and he said it a couple times where he said like his mentor was not politically correct. One of and so why I want to talk about that is there's a lot of times people that don't look like you, and I 100% agree with everything Herschel said in terms of getting mentors and getting a board of directors that don't look like you, don't have your same experiences. I think at the same time, there's a lot of situations where individuals who may not look like you or have your background, we can get turned off because they may say something that we take offense to. And it's very easy to dismiss them and say, okay, well, that person said XYZ. And so they asked me to lunch. I'm not going because of whatever, right? Like, it's very easy to fall into a trap of letting things that they may have said be ones that turn you off. So I love the fact that Herschel brought it up and said, like, he's not politically correct, but he was able to look past that. He was able to really more so focus on what is this person's true intentions, and are they positive? Are they in support of me? Is their heart basically in the right spot? And are they ultimately looking to help support me? And I think that's just an important message, because I'm going to tie this back to your question in a second. But the reason why I think that's an important message is because when you get into spaces where people don't look like you and where you are the only one or one of few, I think it's important to remember that and to give grace to certain things that may be said, because and I think it's important to know the difference between when someone may have just, based on their life experiences, said something, but it was not meant to offend. It was, and their heart and intentions are in the right spot, versus differentiating between someone who is trying to be derogatory. And I think there's times sometimes we can lump it all together. And when we do that, it's to our detriment. So I think being in places and spaces where you are one of few, one of many, or one of few, or the only, I think you have to, I think it requires a different level or skill set to be able to look past the packaging and look into kind of really what's within that package, what is within that person, and how are they trying, how are they really presenting themselves, and not be turned off because the package doesn't quite look right, it said the wrong thing on it, right? Like, so, because if you do that, it can be a very lonely place in public accounting, because there will be so many instances where someone says something just slightly off, and either you can choose to take it as an opportunity to kind of have a dialogue with that individual and either talk to them about your point of view, or you can use it as an opportunity to say, like, this person I don't want to have anything to do with. I choose to, if I really believe that person's heart is in the right spot, use it as a dialogue, a conversation. And I've done that with many individuals who have ultimately gone on to become a mentor and become individuals that I've connected with throughout my career. So anyways, I wanted to pick up on that point that Herschel made.
Great point. Thank you, Melanie. Christina, anything you wanted to add, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would just add that certainly that's an example of being inclusive, Melanie. I mean, what you've shared is a reminder for everyone on the line today about not judging a book by its cover. And because someone says something one time, is that really what they feel for their lifetime, right? And that goes for yourself and all of us listening today, because I think the world is changing, as it always has, and it will for years to come. And it's how adaptable are we through all this change? And if there's one message that I can leave today, it is do not fear change. Embrace it. Find ways to navigate it. And look, every lesson, some of the best lessons at the time were the hardest ones to receive. But they last with us forever. So when I think about diversity, equity, inclusion, yeah, some of those groups are changing now in our organizations, right? We're not using certain references in the same way. Maybe the budget isn't as large as it used to be a few years ago for some of those initiatives. But it doesn't mean that myself and others at my firm, at least, we're still here. We're still engaging. We're still meeting. It hasn't changed that. But does it mean that the way in which our firm labels or puts a label or title has changed? It might have. But we still are focused on embracing all of our differences and trying to work together to serve our clients. And so at the end of the day, I mean, I think that certainly our ability, and students, as you guys choose your, where you choose to start your career, certainly you are in a great position to ask questions about social responsibility. And when you're in interviews, understand certainly what the demographics are of the organization you choose to serve, and not just nationally, but in the office in which you choose to work in. Understand. And that knowledge is key, and it'll help you certainly be able to adapt into multiple scenarios as you're starting your career.
That's awesome. That's awesome wisdom to share and advice to give to our students. So thank you all for sharing your experiences, your wisdom, your knowledge. It is extremely helpful for our students. Alex and Aaliyah, I'm going to turn the floor over to you all so that you all can help facilitate our Q&A.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Aaliyah Thompson. I'm a junior accounting student and I currently serve as your Miss Alabeam. If anyone has any questions, you either say something in the chat or raise your hand just so we can try to facilitate this and make this a little less chaotic.
And hi, everyone. My name is Alex Murphy. I am a sophomore accounting student, and I serve as the intern for the vice president role and in Alabama.
I think your name is, I don't want to mess your name up. Amani, you can ask your question.
It's Amani, but yes. I wanted to ask, so I know that most people like they speak about how giving yourself the seat at the table, even if it's just a lawn chair. How do y'all really feel about that perspective, especially being an African American young woman going into like the corporate world, I guess you could say after college, or really just any opportunities within the campus overall, or really just anything pertaining to the outside world, I guess you could say.
I guess I'll start off. I would say, this whole seat at the table it's always been interesting, to me. I've never focused at getting a seat at their table. I've always been focused at you got to get a seat at my table, right? And that has how I approach my career is that there's going to be enough time for me to try to get into a room, but I need to create a room for myself so other people can get to my room. And I think, for me, my goal was to get to the partner level was now I can start creating my own room where other people need to get to my room and my table. So, that's kind of my feedback. But
I like that. I'd also add, just be careful which table you're sitting at.
right, that's true.
You'll
It could be
get
poison
invited
food.
to a lot of tables. Not all of them you want to sit. Maybe you stand, right? Just a little while, observe, and then maybe keep going to another table. So just choose how and where you spend your time in your career. Because as Herschel said earlier, there are going to be individuals that absolutely you may want to avoid. And so choosing those tables wisely is maybe helpful.
Okay, thank you to everyone who answered. I'm now going to pass it over to Elijah Short.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elijah Short, and I'm a senior accounting student from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm the VP Vice President of Programming for this school year. I know we kind of cut this questions a little bit short, and there might have been more questions, but I'm going to go ahead and give our closing remarks. On behalf
Hold on
of
1 second, Elijah. We've got at least time for one more question.
Okay.
So I think we had Makai was going to ask one, and then we should be good to go.
Okay, I'll pass it to you, Makai. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Elijah. You try to cut a brother short right here, man. All right. Thank you so much for talking to us today. My name is Makai Ward. I am a senior economics student here at A&T. Herschel, you brought up the topic of board of directors, and I had a question to all of the panelists. Has there ever been a time where you had to, I guess, essentially move on from your board of directors or try to change it as you were going through your life, going through a career and going through, different perspectives and just changes of your thinking, and you're just not aligning with those board of directors anymore? How did you navigate that, if you ever experienced it?
Yeah, I'm happy to start on that one. That's a fantastic question. Because you will have mentors and sponsors that come in, like there's someone who told me this, like they come into your life either for like a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And as a part of one of the things you have to figure out is which bucket do they fit in. So there's going to be there have been people that were my mentors for a reason, right? To get me to a place. And once I got to that place, that their purpose was served, right? Nothing negative against them, but their purpose was served. And then you have to reassess once you're at that next stage in your career or that next spot as to what do you need to be able to continue to grow, because whatever you needed to get to that place is not necessarily what you're going to need to continue to get to kind of the next rung on your ladder. And so for me, it's about continuing to assess who are those mentors, who's on that board of directors, and are they the right mix and fit for what comes next. And there's going to be times when, like I said, they're there for that reason, they're there for a season, but they may not be the mentor that you continue through the rest of your career with.
I agree. I mean, I think it's nothing offensive. People have moved on from me. I've mentored people and people have moved on from me. And, for me, I'm honored by that because that means they went to the next level. And that they're going to continue to be successful. And I can still point to them and say, they used to be one of my mentors. So I think it's not offensive. I think as you elevate yourself in your career, you're going to continue to elevate the people that you call your mentors. So it's nothing offensive about it.
Christina, did you have anything to add or?
No, I think they both said it very well. Absolutely. The board of directors, it will change and should change, right, throughout your career. I'd actually say that, think about it for different organizations. The same board of directors for all financial services organizations? No. Each organization has different needs at different times. And so their tenures on board of director roles, many of them, so the same in your own personal scenario, mine too, it has changed over the years, and that has actually been for the better. That as my roles change, as interests change of my mentees, it shifts. But what's really cool, think about that network. So if you're always thinking about your board of directors and thinking about who you can add to it, think about the knowledge that you'll gain from that many more people multiplied by the boards that they're on as well, being able to share their lessons learned with you. So either way, I think board of directors are very positive. There's a lot you can learn from them, and it's a good thing for them to continuously change. Good question.
Thank you.
Gotcha. And since we opened the floor back up to questions, I had a question too. My question was kind of towards when Herschel mentioned goal setting, and with you all being in high positions in your firms, what type of goals did you guys set at the beginning of your careers, and then how did they change over time?
Yeah, so early on, it was more tactical, right? So what are the requirements for promotion? What were the requirements for the project that I'm on, right? As you progress in your career, you shift, right, from individual contributor to oftentimes a leader of people, teams. And so those goals shift as well. So there's not just about you anymore, but it's about the entire team. And your goals and your success now depends on the performance of others. And so I would say that's probably the major shift that I'm seeing. And then as the teams get larger, the goals get larger. As organization goals change, your goals change as well. Because I think it's really important for leaders and professionals that you're certainly thinking about what you're interested, but ensuring that your interests and your goals align to the strategic initiatives of your employers. Because when you talk about the bigger picture and moving ahead, yeah, it's great that you hit your goals today, but what about the business? Did the business overall hit their goals? And so collectively, can you move forward? So I would think about that, Elijah, when goal setting. And as your career progresses, that shift a little bit more to the broader team.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think the other thing I think too is I think our goals, the panelists, I think all of our goals shift in a sense of we're more invested in you, right? I think when you're young in your career, we want you to be successful. You want to keep raising yourself. But I think, I met these two young ladies yesterday and I've known about them. And they're here on this call because they're investing. Their goals is investing in you. My goal is investing in you. I didn't go to A&T, but I'm a big supporter of A&T, and my goal is for all of you guys to get to the next level in your career, be better than me, because our communities need you. We need you guys to be successful. Dr. OJ knows I'm very unapologetic about asking the best out of each of you, even if I've never met you one-on-one, is that you need to perform. You need to perform well in the classroom. You need to give back to your community. We need you to be excellent in the firms and whatever company or firms you go to. So your goals do shift, but it keeps getting broader for people that look like us.
I agree 100% with what both Christina and Herschel have said. I think as you evolve in your career, your goals by virtue of you just having a larger sphere of influence, then your goals start to evolve with that larger sphere of influence. Whereas when you first start, your goals are very, to Christina's point, tactical, and they're very kind of self-focused. But I think as you continue to progress in your career, your sphere of influence grows. And so then does the different kind of areas and categories of your goals as well.
Thank you for those answers. I appreciate it. So before I close this out, I'd like to open the floor up to Dr. Hushcroft to make sure to see if you have any closing statements.
So Dr. Hushcroft had to step away for a moment, but I certainly want to, again, on behalf of the leadership of the college, to all of the students, we want to thank our panelists, Christina, Melanie, Herschel. This has been incredible, even on Zoom. Thank you all for pouring into our students and continuing to show and be a great model for our students to achieve and look towards. So thank you all for your participation today, students, even on a virtual remote day for classes. Thank you all for showing up and being present this afternoon. I think at the most I saw was almost 160 plus students on the call this afternoon. So had we been in the auditorium, it would have been completely jam-packed. So thank you all for being here, and thank you to our AlaBeam students that were participating today. Thank you all for being a part of this and helping us out this afternoon. So with that, Elijah, I'll turn it back to you to finish us up.
Yes, thank you. So on behalf of the College of Business and Economics and AlaBeam Accounting Society, I want to thank each of our speakers today. Your advice and your insights have impacted us all today, and I know each of us will be able to take away something, including me. So my two insights I want to take away was Ms. Howard when she mentioned starting early and networking and planning and decision making. So that will all, when you start early, it'll help you later down the line. And I know for me, when I joined clubs my sophomore year, I wanted to join as many as I needed to, and I ended up wanting to lead them as my junior year and senior year came, and that has given me a lot of experience and a lot of leadership skills. So freshmen and sophomores, I encourage you to put yourself out there and join clubs and relationships early on. We also talked about being in spaces that are uncomfortable, right? And being in spaces that are underrepresented. And there are a lot of stresses and pressures that come with that. But the best thing you can do is to be yourself and show up as your best professional self. And in times where you feel like you're lacking or you're failing, leverage those around you, your leaders and your mentors. And so as I wrap this up, I encourage all of you to reach out to each speaker here, connect with them on LinkedIn. And I thank you all for joining us for this closing bell. And I hope you all stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.